Right, and I would feel better if any of the library had subscription to both Lincoln Journal and Wahoo paper. People can come in and read
The
it for
library
free.
doesn't have a subscription to the Wahoo newspaper.
They do for the Lincoln Journal.
Mm-hmm.
There you
We don't currently publish per se our notices on our website, but that's something we can do on our website itself or through Spark. They do have a category where it just has notices that we can push out through there as well, which is where people are accessing agendas and things like that at this time.
I know we've talked about this in the past, and it turns out to be a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, if what we're really trying to do is notify the public and actually encourage participation, which is what we claim we want to do, well, the newspapers and some obscure website aren't it anyway, right? We've got to start doing more into social networking or off our own website, even if it's just links off of Facebook to say, hey, go check out our agenda, it's out there, and point to our website without actually publishing it within Facebook or something like that. But that's where everybody gets their news today, unfortunately.
When it comes to the things like the TIF or the light and substandard, those are published on our website. We do the above and beyond. It's the smaller items like the public hearings. Those don't necessarily get put on our website to start. But there's also a link on our website and on Facebook to any minutes, meeting minutes and agendas as well currently.
I feel like anytime we have a public hearing, we should have as much notification as possible. I realize that people aren't coming to them, generally speaking, but I mean, if that's what it's there for, is to gain public input, encouraging the public to show up can't be a bad thing.
It's nice to be able to say we go above and beyond, notified to.
I just feel like anytime we have a public hearing of any, I think anything that gets published or is required to be published anywhere else should be on the city's website and a notification sent out through Facebook and or whatever other sites we're using, whether that be LinkedIn, X, whatever it is. But
so for instance, the TIF or the light and substandard study that we're going to be hearing about, the statute on that specifically states it has to be published on our website. So that's the reasons why it's on there. But it is an area, a place where people are turning to for information.
And obviously, I'm sure you guys know more about it. I went and looked at it when I saw this in our agenda and I thought the way it read that if you're a city of the second class or a village that we could stop using newspapers and start using the website instead. Is that not the case? Because I feel like we just throw money away on printing in the newspaper on that stuff because nobody finds it or reads it.
Yeah, there was a legislative bill that proposed it, but it hasn't passed.
Okay.
We do have a route if the newspaper fails to publish something,
Right.
but in the initial, we have to still.
I think there also might be
That's
some
the top garbage.
exceptions for those communities where they don't have a newspaper of general circulation.
Okay, there's emergency exceptions, there's exceptions if they go defunct, yeah,
Yeah.
that's worth it.
Gotcha.
So minutes, they go in the next week, or when do the minutes of the meetings go into the local paper?
I typically try to get them to them by the Thursday after the meeting, so that they can be published in the following week's paper.
Okay.
So,
I know that some people read the minutes more than the public knows.
right, and I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I still have this thing that it is still branded as our paper, the Wahoo newspaper, right? That's the thing I can't get over. I hate to start putting stuff in the Journal Star, even though I freely admit we canceled our subscription at home as well. The paper isn't the Wahoo paper anymore, other than in title.
Yeah.
But it is still a paper. I'd rather see is it possible to split that up where the minutes go to that because we don't have a deadline issue? But our notifications are somewhere else, or is that a bad idea? I don't know.
I don't know.
I would rather keep it in our paper because that's where people know to look for it today. But I know that the deadlines issue has become a thing in the past too, where it can cause us some trouble.
It's not terrible. The deadlines are not terrible. They're inconvenient, but they're not.
They're inconvenient.
It just slows us down sometimes, right? There's
Right.
things we can't do as fast as we want to because we have to give the time to be able to publish it. And
Right.
if we
Sometimes
can
that's
move a
not-
little faster.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing.
There's nothing worse than just I think there may come a time in the near future, and this is my opinion on the matter, where they won't qualify as a paper of general circulation because they have to have so many subscriptions, and they are losing subscriptions.
Is any paper going to continue?
Just so that that definition is based on subscriptions within the community.
Could we continue with the Wahoo newspaper, but also add that we will be putting it on our website, which sort of gets the public in that transition, and then maybe next year look at, or if the Wahoo newspaper closes up shop, move to the Journal Star. That's
I'd rather drive them to your website, I like that.
See, that's ultimately how I see it. I mean, why isn't that the main site? I feel like the newspaper is just what we're legally required to do. But who goes to that to find out what's going on in the meeting? I suppose there's a faction, but I would like to think most would go to the website by news standards.
With that said, I do agree with what Carl had said too. I like the idea of the Wahoo notifications being in the Wahoo paper, although it is declining circulation. And with what Melissa had said, maybe to extend it for a bit more until we're pressed, maybe make a different decision. Because then the decision will be, how do you choose between the Lincoln Omaha paper?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
If everybody drops it, they make a lot of money off of legal notifications. And it's gonna be the deal quicker.
we pull out, we're folded in the flow, what you're saying. So we keep them single.
We're not the only ones that publish law.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice if the state legislature would, catch up to the times and say that newspapers aren't necessarily the way to get information out to the general public anymore. But, anyway. Yeah, I would be more for continuing to publish in the Wahoo paper if the deadlines isn't an issue, while we can, and then make that change down the road, I guess.
I guess that's where I'm at too, Carl.
Well, if that's a motion, I would second it.
So moved.
Okay.
We'll catch up here.
And presumably the preferred practice, but not required, would be stick it on the website as well.
Yeah, I would love to see as
Only
much.
in case we don't do it, it's not an invalid meeting, right? That's
Nothing
the
wrong with
preferred
that in four
practice.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to have as much, just about anything that we have to publish anywhere else, I would love to see on the website as well.
Okay, we can do that.
You're done? Okay, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Krejci,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Okay, 5, designation of depository for the city of Wahoo, designation of authorized signers on accounts held by the city of Wahoo, process for approval of claims presented to the city of Wahoo for payment.
I'm not gonna stand up, but we currently have all city accounts held at Wahoo State Bank and all utility accounts held at First Bank, generally for the most part, with 2 authorized signers on any withdrawals, whether it's a wire transfer or a check or ACH, whatever. And then our claims, we've been doing that through our city council approval process. we're not asking for any changes.
Yeah.
Make a motion to keep things exactly as they are.
Yeah.
Got a second?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Krejci,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Okay, consent agenda. We had one position to fill on planning and zoning, and as of over the weekend, we have another opening. One of them that's in our rural jurisdiction, and we only need one out there, so probably looking for somebody else within city limits. I do have a name that's been presented to me, but I haven't followed up on it yet.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second?
Questions? Roll call.
Krejci,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move into public hearings and associated action items. Number 1, public hearing regarding the application for tax increment financing, TIF, for the old Casey's property.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, or evening, everyone. Kevin Anderson with JEO, here representing JEO Building Company. City Council heard this 2 weeks ago when acting as the CRA, but for a refresher and for the benefit of the public and audience, JEO has entered into a purchase agreement with Greater Wahoo Development Foundation for the purchase of the old Casey's at 250 West 12th Street as a component of a redevelopment project associated with that. JEO does have a user in mind that has expressed interest in this, and the TIF is necessary to make the proposed improvements and yet still keep proposed rents affordable at a market rate for our user. It'll be a professional services office building. As before, cannot yet disclose quite who it is, but it's a very good community use. I think it's going to be something that the community can be very proud of. The request is approximately $270,000 in tax increment financing. The potential eligible expenses probably far exceeds that. That's about the extent we think can be supported by the evaluation based off the improvements to the site. Of that $270,000, most of that is going to go into land acquisition costs, demolition, and demolition being the existing parking lot, and then the reconfiguration of said parking lot. Based off of the use and the size, we should be overparked, meaning we should have programmed more stalls and be required by minimum zoning standards for that use in this district. In valuation, we're estimating at about 1.1 million based off the current valuation of 122,000. So a pretty good return for the community when all is said and done. The proposed use, and this, I think this is an important distinction, will be in line with the deed restrictions coming from the sale, original sale of the Casey's to the Development Foundation. So it's a good win-win for everyone involved. Constructed by JEO's construction subsidiary, Sand Creek Construction Company. It'll be held by JEO Building Company and leased out to our end users. So you've got a local owner that's vested in this very important intersection. As you can see, what we're proposing, and again, very conceptual design at this point, but it is very much our intent to consolidate some of the access points off of North Chestnut. Currently, there are 2 accesses into the property off of North Chestnut, which makes for an awkward intersection configuration. So this should simplify this quite a bit with just 2 ingress, egress off Chestnut and 15. So, landscaping, by my calculations, we should be exceeding that of the requirements of the overlay design overlay corridor, and this as well, based off of our proposed user and our intent for the property. We want this to look very nice. This is a very important intersection and crossroads for the community. So we want it to be something everyone can be proud of. That being said, I will answer any questions.
What's your timeline? Do you want to get closed before year end? And then
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. That's an important distinction. We are requesting the opportunity to potentially waive readings so that we can kind of get through a closing process, really start design in earnest so that we can get going as soon as weather allows for the most part. But essentially, it won't be too long of a build, January through about August or something, so about half a year.
Occupation, occupied in 2026. Very nice.
Yeah.
What's the total years on the TIF?
15.
15, it is 15, still 15.
Okay, open it up to the public. Anybody have any comments?
motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
The motion to close the public hearing. Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Krejci,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Okay, what's your
And
next step? Go ahead.
Sorry, this actually takes 2 actions. The first is a resolution to approve the plan amendment, and the second would be a resolution to approve the official redevelopment agreement in the issuance of the TIF note.
Are either of those ordinance?
No, they're
Resolution.
resolutions.
Just resolution?
Yep.
I would make a motion to approve the redevelopment plan agreement or amendment first.
Second.
Everybody hear the comments? Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Krejci,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Raffle,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Ideas.
Yes.
Motion to approve the resolution for the redevelopment plan agreement.
Second.
Hold on.
I don't have to
Any
make
questions? Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Krejci,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Raffle,
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes. Okay, what's your action on the ordinance?
We're done.
That's it, right?
Don't need any other readings?
Are we good to go?
It was a resolution.
You pass the amendment and then the resolutions, then approve the redevelopment.
Good to go, grab a shovel.
Yeah. Get this thing going. It's a good project. We're both free.
It's not that cold today, grab a shovel.
Are the fuel packs still there in the ground?
Take this.
That's yours.
Okay,
Yeah.
public hearing regarding the resolution to declare the property commonly known as 135.27 acres located southeast of Highway 77, 109 and 92, a roundabout and blighted and
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeff Ray with Ray Planning Solutions. It's a pleasure to be back here. So I conducted the blight study on behalf of the city. Handed out my copy of my presentation for you. I know you've been through this several times, and I've been here before you to do this, but I want everybody to understand, especially the public, to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So the agenda here real quick is just do an introduction. What is a blight substandard study? Why do we have this name? What is the study area that we looked at? What was the analysis and findings of that area? And then ultimately, what is my recommendation? So, introduction then. So what is a blight substandard study? To use tax increment financing, you must declare an area blighted substandard under the Nebraska Community Development Law. It's an ugly name for an economic development tool. It's really the only reason you do that. The only other reason you would do a blight substandard study is for your downtown revitalization, which you recently did 2 years ago, to get community development block grant funding that's less than 10 years of age. But typically, it's just to do tax increment financing. The area then is eligible for blight and substandard. After it's declared blight substandard, is eligible for a redevelopment plan and to entertain projects such as what you had just done. So you declare this area blight substandard, approve a redevelopment plan, and ultimately you can implement the TIF. Like real quick, the characteristics then. There's a substantial number of deteriorating, dilapidated structures, defective, inadequate street layout, work meet your street grid that you've got going, faulty lot layouts, unsanitary and unsafe conditions, deterioration of site and other improvements, a diversity of ownership, special tax assessments, and defective or unusual conditions of title, improper subdivision, obsolete platting, existence of conditions which endanger life or property, and then a combination of factors which impairs or arrests the sound growth of the community, hinders housing, or constitutes an economic or social liability, and or is detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare, in which one of the following are there. The unemployment is greater than 120% of state or national average. The average age of the structure is over 40 years of age. Half of the area has been unimproved property and been in the city for 40 years. The per capita income is less than the citywide average, and there's stable or decreasing population over the last 2 censuses. So that's a summary of the blighted characteristics of the statute. In addition to that, you find the substandard characteristic. These are similar. Dilapidation and deterioration of structures, age and obsolescence of structures being greater than 40 years, inadequate provision of ventilation, light, air, and open space. Other substandard conditions such as high density of population, dangerous conditions to life or property due to fire or other such causes, and then a combination of factors that can be conducive to ill health, disease, inadequate infrastructure, and or crime. So those were the substandard characteristics. So the study area, which we looked at, or which I looked at here, is 140 acres in the southeast corner there, Highway 77, right by the roundabout. Kind of a unusual, as NDOT is taking property and giving property back and taking more property, created some unusual lot lines and so forth that are in there. This area was looked at for potential for redevelopment as it's been developed right now, and primarily agricultural and some residential. And on the edge of the city, so it's outside the corporate limits, but could be annexed should you choose to do that. So the analysis and findings. So first we looked at the structures that were there, both the residential structures as well as the farm structures, and you can see from the colored dots that are there on what those buildings were indicated. 50% of the residential structures were rated as deteriorating, and 86% of the accessory structures were rated as deteriorating and/or dilapidated. So predominance of those buildings are either dilapidated and/or deteriorating. Potential unsafe conditions that were identified, again, is the age of structures, the condition of those structures, and structures built prior to 1978 likely have lead paint in them that could be hazardous to individuals as well. There's a pit on site that is an old basement, I believe, that's just filled with garbage and rubbish that could harbor vermin and be a fire hazard, as well as a potential hazard for anybody that would fall into it. Lack of public infrastructure, including sidewalks in the entire region. I realize it's outside your corporate limits. And there were other noted debris piles and junked cars, and then the dilapidated structures. So those were some of the potential unsafe conditions that were noted. The age of structure. So according to the Saunders County Assessor, the average age of the residential structures is 58 years. So it exceeds the legislature's threshold of 40 years. So both structures were there. Overall, the recommendation would be when we turn on all of the layers there to make sure that all of the areas that are included have at least one characteristic of blight and substandard. They all do. So the entire area is my recommendation that you would include that as blighted and substandard due to some of the obsolete plating, the odd shape of some of those, and the need for additional subdivision on a very large U-shaped piece, as well as the other items that I touched on. So overall, you can see on the criteria matrix, 8 of the 12 substandard criteria were found to be present in predominance, and 3 of 4 of the substandard characteristics were found for a total of 11 of the 16. There is no specific threshold that has to be met, but generally this falls in line with most communities of wanting at least 50% of those to be present. So that's a summary of the full report that hopefully you're all able to see. With that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
So we 139 acres?
That's
It all
correct.
gets lumped together based on the structures that contain or are contained within approximately 1 to 2 acres of that total?
Well, the legislature says you look at the entirety of the district. You don't look at it as an individual parcel, say this one is and this one is out. I should also note that through the city staff, we looked at your available area. You can go up to 50% of your corporate limits to be blighted substandard. You have about 390 acres that are available as it currently stands today. So should you choose to blight substandard this, even though it's outside the corporate limits, you would still fall with under that threshold. Then as you would move forward to do a TIF, you would obviously have to annex it to get to that point. So you would increase your denominator, so your percentage would continue to go down.
Any questions from the public?
public hearing.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing. Roll call.
Warford,
Yes.
Krejci,
Yeah.
Nagel,
Yeah.
Sweet,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Rappel.
Yes.
Okay, this is the resolution to declare the property known as listed, blighted, and substandard. What's your action?
I know the planning commission did approve this as well.
That's correct.
So I would make a motion to approve this.
I'd second.
Questions from the council? Roll call.
Krejci,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Warford,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Rappel.
Yes.
Number 3, public hearing regarding the preliminary plat for Hummel Industrial Subdivision.
So in your packet, I included a memo explaining the developer has asked for this public hearing to be held in January. So Planning Commission actually opened the public hearing and then did a motion to continue the hearing until their January meeting. And so I would ask that you do the same for our first meeting in January.
So do you want us not to table? You want us to just postpone?
Well, we
What's the action?
I don't know that it's necessarily on the floor of the council at this point.
Yeah, we're waiting on.
I think you're
planning
just acknowledging that collectively that you'd like to hold it in January.
commission. Is that a vote? Is that a motion?
I don't think it has to be. The question is for clarification, do you want?
I guess my thought was that our public hearing notice notify the public that the hearing would be today. So in theory, anyone who was present tonight to speak about it or inquire about it would be notified that the hearing is continued until the next.
Okay, so just a motion to continue the hearing. I would make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion second to table,
Continue.
continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so we're clear, we're in number 3, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ignore my notes.
I'm looking where you got votes already. I'm like, I don't feel like that's what.
we're on number 3.
We're moving along. Okay, roll call on continuing public hearing.
Krejci,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
Okay. Number 4, public hearing regarding approval of the utilities budget for the 2026 fiscal year.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson, members of the City Council. I want to just try and give a brief overview of our 2026 budget. Utilities on our last Board of Public Works meeting in November, the members that were present voted to move forward with requesting approval of the City Council for our 2026 budget. We have you guys have a chance to review it. We have a lot of projects still out there. We have made historic steps forward over the last 5 years since I've been here to really make those long-term investments, those generational investments. You guys have seen our downtown water project is very near completion. However, we still have projects out there that we're moving forward with as part of our master planning we did in 2020. We're still checking off those lists of things we need to do. So just to dive into my budget report, and then I'll just leave it open to if you have specific questions. Yes?
Can you get the budget report up on the screen?
I need the mouse. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll let her get it up.
Yeah, I can. Thank you. We're all the way down here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't go into the major changes we made on our revenue sides. Some of the matrix in which I used to determine our estimates for our revenues was a little different this year. I guess if you have questions about that, it was just on a real simplified way of saying is we have historically used 3 years actuals, not including current year's annualized. This year, because of the rate increases we've had over the last few years, we always try to use 3 years just because we want to make sure we take out for those weather ebbs and flows that really drive a lot of our revenues up and down. For example, in the water side this year, we had a very, very rainy year, so our water usage was down. However, revenues weren't substantially down because we had seen some rate increases over the previous years. So I did end up using 2025 actuals annualized, and had a metric I used for determining the final quarter that we had not received actuals on yet. Again, I can go into details if you'd like more, but just to kind of break it apart into the departments where we are still looking at doing some major projects. We have the ones I'll point out to you. We are looking at the West Loop project. In the electric, you can go back up to, oh, there you go, thank you. In the electric department, we are looking at, hopefully we can get some permits through Railroad. That's been 7 months we've been waiting on some permits from Union Pacific. So we just need some permits to go under the railroad tracks. Then we can bid the project for gas, water, and electric to come clear up by Sid Dillon's property in the hospital with gas and water and electric, and then we'll be coming all the way down to the Casey's property. We will continue on with gas all the way up and around, around the property. Oh, who is it that owns North and North Islands? Lindgren, thank you. The Lindgren ground will come across. We've already got all the easements. We've had the easements for a couple of years now. And so we're working to get that completed, and then the water will be looped around. We will stop by Casey's, but then continue on over by the elementary school and finish a loop to the water tower. So just some changes to that project over time, but that's a big one, and you'll see in all 3 departments. And then we are looking at another major expense is our power plant design. Some of these large expenses are offset by projected revenues from bonding. The power plant, I think we negotiated an extremely favorable contract with NPPD on capacity purchase, and unless things change drastically in the next few months, we hope to finish up a siting study what JAO is currently doing for us, and as we complete that, we would hopefully sign an extension or an expansion of our capacity purchase agreement. Currently, we have 10 megawatts with NPPD, and we would be looking to add another 10 megawatts. As we peak as a community around 17 megawatts, we want to be able to have enough capacity on hand that serves all of our load currently, knowing that we're going to grow a little more, and then our growth will eventually outpace even the next expansion. However, we think that expansion would make sure all of our residential and current commercial and industrial customers can be served. Looking at a new building for maintenance at the power plant for just a small shop that we can do preventative maintenance. Our power plant mechanic currently does that outside on the ground because he just doesn't have really a workshop there at the power plant. We want to have him close to the power plant in case they need to run. He can go down to our service center and do a lot of this preventative maintenance, but it's not very conducive to him being available to the power plant. So one thing I do want to point out when we get into the bottom lines, there are some things in this budget. For example, the service truck, the smaller bucket trucks we have that you see the linemen using. As you can see, they're not cheap for one of those trucks. However, our expectation is the lead times may even push this into 2027. So if we place the order in 26, we have to have it budgeted by the board and the council to do so. But we still don't think this will be an actual cost in 26 unless they really are a lot faster than they are now. Right now, they're a little over a year lead time on these bucket trucks. So, otherwise, again, I think a lot of these projects, there is some higher equipment costs that you'll see in this year's budget that we won't normally have every single year, but we have worked really hard with our fleet manager and power plant mechanic, Robert Spichka, to set a replacement plan for our equipment. You also see in that department that we're baking in a 1% rate increase from NPPD. Our primary wholesale power provider, if you remember, we get our power from 3 places in Wahoo, the vast majority of it from NPPD. We get another 6% or so from our solar that we've installed, and another 12% or so from WAPA. WAPA is a very old contract tied back to the dams on the Missouri River. NPPD, though, the lion's share of our power is increasing by 1% as a wholesale. If you guys recall, we went through the contract negotiations. A big reason why that is only 1% is that contract. A lot of the new construction they're doing, the debt servicer will be amortized over the life of that contract, 35 years. And so it's not one big worry. They're not trying to pay this debt off or these new plants off in 15 years, 10 years. They're able to spread that cost out. So the impact to us as a wholesale customer is much less than it would have been without that contract extension. That's the electric department. Again, projects in the water department primarily are surrounded around the lead service line and galvanized requiring replacement project and the West Loop. The LSL GRR project, you guys probably remember that we were doing that inventory last year. It was primarily completed in '24. We had to make sure every water service had been accounted for and what type of material it was. We had gotten an amendment to the loan. Remember, you guys had to pass that amendment to the loan to allow for us to get some access to some more funding. We are intending to do this with our own staff, and our goal is to replace about 44 water services next year. This will be a replacement from the main all the way into the home, even the customer-owned side. There is a 38% grant for this work, and so the view of the board was that grant portion is covering the homeowner's cost. The cost from the main to the curb stop would have been our cost anyway. So we are going to be working, you'll be seeing our crews going around tackling a lot of water services. Why did we choose to do this in-house as opposed to, we think we can do it for about half the cost of what it would cost if we hired a contractor. Also, our experience with downtown water projects has said that the restoration efforts that contractors go to is not up to a standard we think is acceptable to our customers when we're going to be dealing with on their property. For working the right of way, it's one thing. When we start crossing into their properties, we want to ensure it's the highest quality possible restoration efforts. And with our own staff, we have a lot more authority to make sure that happens. So, and I have a lot more trust in my staff to do it right. So the cost and I think the overall craftsmanship will be much better with my staff. So, and then the utility truck and that, and then wastewater department, and please stop me if you have any questions about our projects. We're looking at doing, again, we've continually done sewer lining and projects. We do anticipate with the downtown revitalization, we may have a couple manholes we put in downtown. And then you'll see the biggest chunk of money right there is that $3.7 million. With the SRF funding, we also got a lot of funding for wastewater also. We did put in a sewer system south of town, and we also did the sewer project up by Orange Street. We are going to use a lot of our funding to make upgrades, not upgrades, that's not the right word. They are upgrades, but we're making necessary investments into the wastewater treatment facility. The wastewater plant, was built in the year 2002. Is that right, Melissa? Does that sound right? I think it's 2002. And so it's due, right? It's due for some mechanical replacements, some pumps, some mechanical blowers. It's time to make those. And then also, the technology's advanced. There were things they could have done in 2002 that was chosen not to do. So it's going to cost a little more to do it now. But even if we'd have done it in 2002, the technology's advanced a lot with monitoring and PLCs and controls and probes. They can make a wastewater treatment plant operate so much more efficiently for the energy use. And also, as we grow and the loading grows, we think with this automation, we can do more to improve the wastewater plant effluent quality without a sizable expansion of the facility. The plant was originally, it had a lot of costs when it was built. A brand new plant the size of ours would probably be $20 million today. So keep that in mind when we talk about 3.7 million. This is just replacing some parts and making some improvements. So, and then in natural gas, 2 big projects, the West Loop, and then the Bear Steel project. And we did go out for bids and awarded a project for General Electric, or sorry, not General Electric, General Excavating. Got the bid. We're going to end up awarding for, they were the only bidder, for natural gas to replace a bunch of our Bear Steel. Remember, we got a $1.3 million grant. So all the money we're spending on the Bear Steel project is just, it's in and out. We'll be reimbursed from that federal process as we go. Overall, if you look at the P&Ls or the projected P&Ls for our budget numbers, they're sizable numbers when you start factoring in grants, loans, and bonding that we're going to be doing. These numbers get pretty high. But as you can see in the bottom line, in some of the departments, we are showing some losses in electric, in our actual profit and loss. And if we turn to, keeping in mind with that loss, is that, like I said, that $250,000 truck we think will actually be a 27 expenditure. So we want to budget it. We'll show the loss, but it may not actually end up being a loss. We didn't show any growth in our loadings. We didn't project any growth. We don't typically show revenue growth because so much of the revenue is based on weather and electric and natural gas and water. We hope that there'll be commercial and industrial growth, but we want to be conservative in the revenues that we project. Water department, you'll see it does show actual a net profit before depreciation. And the sanitary sewer department, a loss before depreciation, and natural gas, a loss before depreciation. So what does that say? That says that we are projecting to need to do a rate increase in the departments. We will have on our next agenda at the Board of Public Works a initial assessment from our rate study that we hired a consultant to do, and then we should expect to see something to the City Council in January for maybe the second meeting of January, looking at rate increases. We think there will be some minimal rate increases across all 4 departments to make sure we're covering our losses. We think that a lot of that rate increases are 1% wholesale, pushes us somewhat there, right? You're going to see that wholesale cost coming across to us. We also think we have increased operating expenses, just like everyone, the costs that we have, and then the costs of labor and costs of those things are just always consistently going up. However, we want to try and make the minimal impact we can to our ratepayers and not ever take for granted the impact that even a marginal rate increase has on our customers, especially those that are most vulnerable to rate increases on their utilities. That being said, our goal, working with the rate consultant, and my goal as general manager, the goal I've been working with the Board of Public Works to set is to get to a point where by fiscal year 27, we are covering our projects, our debt service, and as much of the depreciation as we can cover so we can build some cash reserves. And get to a point where we are more, where we reach some almost homeostasis, where we can not have these massive projects that are out there, these generational projects, and more to the needed upkeep, needed capital improvement. We'll never stop doing capital improvement because we have to keep the system maintained so we don't fall into another 20 years from now. Well, gosh, why didn't they make these investments, or 30 years from now? So that is our budget. Is there anything, I guess, from our board members, anything that I'm missing or important?
I think you hit the big ones there with the capital improvement projects, but also not wanting to play catch up with other large projects in another span of years. So, no, I think you covered it very well.
So when was our last rate increase?
Our last rate increase would have went into effect in I believe in 25.
Okay.
So I think we approved a 24-25 rate increase, beginning of 25. And
So I mean, it's nice to hear the projects are forward-looking. You've done a good job finding grants to help with that. What What keeps you awake at night? What's the problems you see?
You know, that's a really good question, Stuart. I really feel the biggest challenges we have right now are a lot of the regulations that can just change on a dime with administrations, right? That can make things challenging. But that being said, I think that we are so blessed with the staff we have. I would say if you'd asked me this a few years ago, I would have said adequate trained staff and adequate. We have made the investments, and I really do want to thank you for being supportive of Melissa and I and us doing the necessary pay surveys, salary surveys. We have stayed competitive, and I will say I don't stay up at night fretting because I have really good teams that work on the utility side. We have extremely skilled leaders in all 4 departments. 6 department heads that report to me are all very skilled, very talented, and experienced at this point. And so I think that as I look down the rosters of our different departments, we're really blessed with the quality of employees we have on utilities and on the city side. And that doesn't happen unless you're making sure you take care of them. Now, that being said, even though they're very talented and they're skilled, there is still continual need for us to have accountability. And that's what my job is, and is to ensure that we're not sitting back and saying, oh, we're getting complacent, because that's when you lose track of the preventive maintenance and things if you're not doing those, keeping track of those things. So I don't worry as much about, knock on some wood, there's going to be a main break tonight, now that I say it. The downtown water project really takes a lot of fear away from you too. When we make these investments into our infrastructure, it starts to take away some of those fears. But I don't ever want another storm like we had in March. And I don't ever want E. coli in our water system. That's happened in 1 year. So we've been through a lot, I think, as a community. If you think back the last few years, between the storm in March of 25, the winter storm Uri in 21, the boil water notice. We've been through a lot, and we've stepped up. I would say our staff and the leaders of this community have stepped up every time.
I think the extra work you did in this March storm was a very good PR move. I know it was discussed, but where do you stop on it? I think you handled it well.
Thank you. Yeah. And again, all the credit in the world to our linemen and to all of our staff that stepped up that week, and then to all those other communities that came in and served us, and that was cool. And Nebraska Municipal Power Pool, we couldn't have done any of it without the mutual aid network, so it was an amazing accomplishment. One thing I didn't demonstrate was the revenues coming in from the federal government. We do expect that to come in. I didn't include it in the budget because I don't know if it'll come in 26 or not. We think so, right,
Yeah.
Melissa?
Yeah.
So we were hoping it would have made it into 25, so we could have had a simple thing, but we expect to get those revenues back. Those will just go right back to cash reserves. We took about $1 million hit to our cash reserves from that storm, and so that's really just replacing those cash reserves right back into that account. So we are prepared for the next one. Now, you always kind of ask yourself, well, how much should we have? How much cash should we have on hand, right? What are the events that could occur? Well, that was a good life lesson right there. $1 million doesn't take very long for $1 million. How long did that storm even last? Was it 3 hours, 4 or 5 hours of the ice storm, the actual blizzard?
Well, with the heavy
Okay.
snow and all that,
Yeah,
yeah, it started about 2 o'clock in the morning and it was
Okay.
done snowing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
that's true.
12
Yeah,
hours.
that's right. 12 hours, $1 million.
And most of it was melting, by 6 o'clock in the evening. As soon as it stopped snowing, it was melting.
It's just
Crazy.
it's funny how that can happen. So, yeah, I think we've got some good crews and good things that we're doing in the departments.
Any questions of Ryan? From the public?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing. Roll call.
Rappel,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Creachy,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
action on the,
I'll make the motion that we approve the utility budget for 2026.
I will second that.
discussion? Roll call.
Rappel,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Creachy,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Warford.
Yes.
Okay, action items not requiring a public hearing. First is approval of the third and final reading of ordinance number 2488 to adopt additional construction delivery methods, construction design build, and construction manager at risk as alternatives to the traditional design build, bid and build as allowed by the Nebraska statutes.
So I want to just walk through this section by section with you to make sure you understand what this is giving us the ability to do. So you have a paper copy in front of you. There's an extra copy up there. The first, section 2, is just the definitions, which is pretty straightforward. This, the language in here lays out the policy requirements for choosing either design build, which requires a letter of interest, and then there's specific provisions in there for proposals, like it specifies exactly the things that need to be included in the proposals. And then it does the same for the construction manager at risk. What must be included in the request for proposals, and then how we go about evaluating those proposals. I think that leads to really one of the main questions that I have, I think we need to spend a little time talking about, is in section 10, it establishes a selection committee, and statute very clearly spells out who must be on that committee. But I think you have some room on the page 7. There, under section B, there are 7 different items laying out the criteria for how